Okay, Boker Tov. Good morning. Everyone tov l'kulam. As we continue in Gemara Masechet Sanhedrin, we're on Daf Kuf Yud Amud Aleph, about 14 lines down from the top, and in the Art Scroll edition, 110A1, bottom right column. Okay. Vayakumu lifnei Moshe va'anoshim b'nei Israel chamishim u'matayim. The pasuk talks about Korach, and we're in the middle of the discussion of Korach and his Eidah, his congregation, who has no chelik la'olam haba. And one of the psukim there that talks about the Jews, the Korach and his congregation coming against Moshe says, they were 250 men. Now, the Gemara tells us, they were not just any men. They were the top of the men. They were from Bnei Yisrael. All right, they were the cream of the crop. And the pasuk continues, Keri a moed, summoned for appointed times. What does that mean? Shehayu yodeim le'aber shanim v'likbo chodashim. They knew how to intercalate the years and establish the months. Basically, they knew the heavenly bodies and how to make an extra chodesh adar, and when to add 29, when to have 29 days in a month, when to have 30 days in a month. They had this knowledge, a very, very hard wisdom to obtain, but they had this. They were very big. Talmidei Chachomim. Anshe Shem. They were people of name. Sheyalahem Shem B'chol Ha'olam. And the whole world knew them, whether via their wisdom or via their wealth. They were known throughout the world. Vayishma Moshe Vayipol Alponov. And Moshe heard their complaints as they gathered against Moshe and Aharon. And they said, it's too much for you. For entire assembly, all of them are holy, and God is among them. Why do you exalt yourselves above the congregation? And it says, Vayishma Moshe Vayipol Alponov. Ma Shemua Shama. What was so bad that Moshe heard that Moshe Rabbeinu had to fall to the ground? What was it so bad? So, Amar Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachmani, Amar Rabbi Yonatan. Shechashaduhu me'eshet ish. He heard that the people were suspecting him of adultery. They were suspecting him of having relations with a married woman. Shinemar, because it says here, it says in a pasuk in Tehillim, Vai kanu Moshe b'mahanem. They were jealous of Moshe in the camp. So meaning that the lashon of Vaikanu could also be like kinui, right? A warning. They made a warning that you give against an Aisha Saita, that you think she might be a Saita, you give her a special warning. They gave this warning to their wives in regards to Moshe. Shnemer, and it says, and he took his tent and he left the camp because people were saying such things. So, why? Why would these people assume that Moshe Rabbeinu is having an affair with their wives? So, a couple of different approaches in the Mefarshim. So let's take a look at a few. Number one, there are Mefarshim that explain that everybody knew Moshe Rabbeinu has separated from his wife Tzipporah. And they said it cannot be that a man can abstain from relations with a woman. It must be that if he's not having relations with his wife, he's having relations with other women. It must be he's having illicit affairs. Some of you went further to say, and that's why Moshe Rabbeinu put his brother and his nephews in charge of the Mishkan, right? Because the din is, if someone is an Eisha Saita, you think she's a Saita, you have to bring her to the Beis HaMikdash. You bring her to the Mishkan, and you give her the bitter waters. And who did Moshe put in charge of administrating these bitter waters? He put his brother and his nephews there, meaning he's got it set. They're always going to protect him, and they're never going to come out there. They're always going to be, there's ways to hush it up. So that's what these people were saying. In fact, there are other Mefarshim that say that the husbands were saying, when we talk to our wives, they don't listen. When Moshe Rabbeinu talks to them, they listen. For example, when they said, let's go bid the Egel Azov, they went to the wives and they said, give us your jewelry. They said, no way. Moshe Rabbeinu comes and says, let's build a Mishkan. Give me your jewelry. They say, of course. Just give me your mirrors. Of course. Everything that Moshe Rabbeinu was requesting of them, they're giving. But when their husbands ask, they not. So the husbands were jealous. Mefarshim say that the truth is that no one really thought Moshe Rabbeinu had illicit affairs with their wife, but they wanted to put a stigma out there and this gav, so to speak, this talk out there to slander Moshe, and that's what they did. So that's some shatim on that. Okay, moving further, the Gemara says, "Vayakom Moshe vayelech el Datan v'Aviram." When Moshe Rabbeinu sees that the Datan, Aviram, Korah, everybody's making all this trouble, it says Moshe Rabbeinu went to the Datan Aviram. He tried to make peace with them. Amar Reish Lakish, Mikan, she'em hazikim b'machloket. No one should persist in a quarrel. If Moshe Rabbeinu, who is the Gadol Ador, the greatest tzaddik you've ever had, right? Ne'eman b'chol beito, he is the most trustworthy in Hashem's, and Moshe Rabbeinu, goes to the Datan Aviram, these two Rashaim, to try to make peace with them. He doesn't say they should come to me, right? The Amarab, kol hamahazik b'machloket over belav. Anyone who stays in machloket doesn't try to make peace with it, with the other party, he is over belav. He's violating a prohibition. Shnemar v'lo yek Korach v'cha'adato. Should not be like Korach and his adato and his congregation who stayed in the machloket. Whether the pasuk itself, so like Korach adato, is its own mitzvah. The Halachas Gedolos, the Rambam, the Smag, they say is one of the 6 and the 13 mitzvot. Or others say, yeah, you cannot stay in Machoka, but it's not based on this pasuk. Rather, it's another pasuk in Vayikra. Do not hate your brother in your heart. So Machoka Rishonim, is it its own separate or it's part of another mitzvah? But Avashi Amar, Ra'ui Liktadea. Someone who stays in the Machoket, he deserves to have tarat, leprosy. Why? Kiteb Hachab Yad Moshe Lo. It says over here is that what's it called? By the hand, God spoke to Moshe about Aharon, by Yad Moshe, by the hand of Moshe. Why does it say at the hand? That the teachers, one who acts like Korah, the time of Aviram, persisted in a quarrel, will be stricken by the hand. Which hand? When Moshe Rabbeinu was getting the prophecy at Har Sinai to become the leader, he asked for signs, Jewish people should believe him, and one of them was that his hand turned to leprosy, right? And it says there Yad. And here it says Yad also, talking about Moshe and Aharon in the story of Korach. There was someone who persists in a machloket is deserving of tzarat. Amar Rabbi Yosef. Anybody who challenges the Malchut Bet David, challenges the house of David, and specifically, as the Rambam writes, the house of David and Solomon. Okay, Roy lahakishot nahash. Proper of him to get bit by a snake. Who tried to take the kingship from Solomon, right, to be the successor of David HaMelech, when David HaMelech already promised Bathsheba, and it says he gathered everybody, and then he gathered sheep, cattle, and fat oxen at the stone of Zochelet. And it says in another pasuk in Devarim, and when the Jews will abandon God, right, with the venom of those that creep in the dust. So Zohale Afar, who creeps in the dust? This is a snake. So someone who goes against Malchut David, Shlomo, he is to be bitten by a snake. Amma Rab Hizdam. Kol ha'cholek al rabo ki cholek al hashichinam. Whoever challenges his teacher is like one who challenges the divine presence itself. Rashi says challenges his teacher means challenging his teacher's Torah Academy, which the Maharsha explains that to challenge a Rebbe's teachings. The Be'er Sheva maintains, however, the Rashi actually intends what the Rambam states, who is considered a challenger of his teacher. Anyone who during his teacher's lifetime opens a school in which he sits, expounds and teaches Torah without the teacher's express permission. Right? And the Ramah says over here, it's always permissible for a student to disagree with his teacher concerning any ruling or teaching. The student can cite proof from his own opinion, right? So obviously it has to be done with respect. So, right, on the Rabo, someone does it disrespectfully, he's doing stuff without permission of the Rebbe, he's he's challenging his Rebbe in ways that are not nice. So he is, like as if he is Holek and dividing, challenging the Shekhinah. When they contended against God, right? They contended against Moshe. But it says about Totam al Hashem. So you're going against Moshe, the Rebbe, it's like you're going against God. Someone who does a fight with his teacher is if he's fighting with Hashem. They were the waters of strife where the children of Israel quarreled with God. They weren't quarreling with God, so to speak. They were quarreling with Moshe and Aaron. However, it's against Hashem. Anyone who complains about his teacher as if he complains about the Shekhinah. You're not complaining against us, you're complaining against God. Right? Each level. Right? You have a challenge, you have a fight, you have a complaint, you have now a thought. He goes against God and against Moshe. So I think two things come out over here is number one, there is the idea of a Misorah. And we know that Hashem gave Moshe Rabbeinu the Torah. Moshe passed it to Yeshua. So all our Rebbeim are part of this chain of the Misorah. And if we start complaining, and challenging, and fighting our Rebbeim, we are fighting the Misorah, which is fighting the Shekhinah that gave the Misorah, the Hashem who gave the Torah to Moshe Rabbeinu. So a person has to be very careful. Obviously, the Torah discussions, you need to talk, you need to discuss, you need to argue, you need to have the war of Torah, but it has to be done respectfully. You have to understand where your Rebbe is coming from and where you're coming from. Right? A lot of times, the simple way is, I hear what you're saying. I don't understand it, but I trust you. A lot of times, when you say, "Okay, I understand halakha. Okay, this is halakha. Fine. I don't understand it. Fine. That's another story. You don't understand it, but you accept it, right? So very important when it comes to these type of things. Okay. There is a pasuk in Kohelet, Osher Shamur Lev'alav D'Ra'ato, which says, "Riches hoarded by their owner are to his misfortune." This was the richness, the riches of Korah, as it says, "Ve'et kol ha'yikum asher b'raglehem." Okay, it says over here by Korah and his people, and all of their wealth at their feet. So the Rabbi Elazar says it means their wealth put them on their feet, meaning it made them stand up and do what they did. Sometimes having too much money leads a person to do things that are inappropriate. He thinks he has the money now; he can open his mouth. Amar Rabbi Levi, you know how much money Korah had? The keys to Korah's treasure houses were equivalent to the load of 300 white mules. So you have 300 white mules, and you have on top of it loads, right, as much as it can hold. That was the 300 keys. That was the keys. That was just the keys to the treasure house, right? The load of 300 white mules. And by the way, those keys were not made of metal. They were made of leather, meaning it was lighter, and therefore there's much, much, much more keys because they're lighter. Exactly where was his treasure? Where was his treasure chest? Someone on Shabbat said, I don't know why he has so many keys. You're not going to know which keys for which. Why didn't he just get the master key? Okay, very good questions. If he did have a master key, I don't know. And but that's the idea is that it was very, very a lot. Amar Rabbi Hama Rabbi Hanina. Shlosh matmoniyot itmin Yosef Misraim. Yosef had 3 treasures in Misraim. Ahad, one of them, nitgalat to Korah. One of them became accessible to Korah. Va'achad nitgalat latoninos ben Asvarus. One of them became revealed to Antoninos, son of Severus. Right? This was the Antoninos from Rebbe's friend that they learned together and stuff like that. He was revealed to him one or the other. The Ahat Genuzah l'tzadikim level. And the third treasure is going to be for the tzadikim in the future. Okay? So the Benu Yadav, he explains the matter of Yosef's 3 treasures, right? The question really is, why split it into 3? What's the shot? You have a treasure house, you put it in the same treasure house. Why are you putting it into 3 separate ones? So Yosef HaSadik had the ability to see where the money was coming from. And he knew how to separate the money according to its quality. For example, when they started selling their food, everyone came. Yosef Sadiq didn't want to put the avodah zarah money, the money that came from avodah zarah, with money that was kosher. So Yosef Sadiq split it into three: those who served idols, those whose money came through thievery, and those goyim who were bnei Noach, Sheva Mitzvah, they were Mekayim, the Sheva Mitzvah bnei Noach, and so they were tzaddikim of their times, and he put those monies in a separate. So you have the avodah zarah money in one, you have thievery, gzeil gneva, in the other one, and you have the tzaddik's monies in the third. That's why he split it up. You know where everything goes. You don't want to mix the kosher money with the non-kosher money, and therefore he split it up. Now, Korach took which money? Korach took the avodah zarah money. That's why everything happened. He went against Hashem, went to get Moshe. Avodah zarah money. Antoninos, right? The Romans, they took the money of those who came through thievery, and the good money, the money from the tzaddikim, from those of Bnei Noach who kept the mitzvot, they are going to go to the tzaddikim la'atid level. Beautiful Bnei Yoyada doesn't need my askama, but here it is in the article in note 46 if one wants to read it in the Arichus. Okay. Va'amar Rabbi Yochanan. Kairach loy min abluim veloy min aserufin. Kairach, we know that some of his followers got swallowed into the ground, and the 250 people that went to bring the ketoret, they were burnt. And it's saying over here, according to this Tana, Rabbi Yochanan, Korach did not get either burned or swallowed. He didn't get any of those punishments. Rather, he would die later in a magefa, in a plague that broke out, that ended up killing another 14,700 people. And that's where Korach died, according to him. How do we know How do we know he wasn't swallowed up? All the people who were for Korach, but not Korach himself, right? There's 250 people were burned. 250 only, not Korach. But another Tana told him about no, he got both burnt and swallowed. And the Midrash brings this down as well, that he got burnt and then he got swallowed up. Okay. They were swallowed and Korach. So it says here, what are you going to do? They're going to say no. They got swallowed and Korach got a different punishment. He'll make a break there in the between. They got burned. The word et comes to include Korach. Korach was part of it. Amar Rava. The sun and the moon stand still in their habitation. They went for light because of your arrows. Because of your arrows, they come out for light. Malamit. The sun and the moon, they went away from their station in the heavens, in the Rikia, and they went up to another of the firmaments known as Zvul. And they went there, and they didn't want to come back out. They said to Hashem, if you're going to show the world that Ben Amram Moshe Rabbeinu is the right one, and you get rid of the Korach and the challengers, and that's it, we'll go out, we'll come back, and we'll do the job that you asked us to do. And if you don't go and save Moshe Rabbeinu and put down Korach's rebellion, lo neseh, we won't go out. Until Hashem said, "Hello, don't get involved in my thing," and he shoots arrows at them to go back into the place. And then Hashem says even more. What are you guys protesting? For Moshe, you're protesting. But when people are serving you as Avodah Zarah and not serving me, that you don't protest, right? So you got to be careful with your protest. If you're doing a protest and you didn't protest something else, you might get in trouble for that. And in fact, they wanted to protest afterwards. And now every day Hashem has to, so to speak, send arrows, shoot arrows at them to make sure they go out every day, because now they want to protest because they don't want to come out because people are still serving the sun and the moon as Avodah Zarah. Okay, there are different ways to learn this Gemara, but that's the simple understanding of it. Darash Rava expounded. My dichtiv. Imbria Yivra Hashem upatzita adama et piha. God will create a phenomenon, and the earth will open its mouth. Imbria Gehenim mutab. Yivlav Yivra Hashem. If Hashem, you already created Gehenim, good. If not, create it now. Lamai. What is Moshe's request? If you say really to create a Gehenim, What do you mean? After the 6 days creation, there's nothing new under the sun. Everything's already created. Ela the Karovei Pitha. Moshe Rabbeinu was saying, Hashem, bring the portal, the door to Gehenna closer, so they can go straight in. Uvnei Korach lo metu, and the children of Korach did not die. Tana Mishum Rabbeinu Amru. And Yehuda Nasi says, Makom nitbatzel lahem beGehenna, v'yashua alav Amru Shiram. They since they had Hurei Tshuva, they stood up for Moshe Rabbeinu, so they started to repent. And God miraculously provided a place of refuge for the Korach sons, as the sons of Korach landed in an elevated niche and were spared their colleagues' fate, and through their mizmorim they were able to come back out. Once I was walking on the road. There was an Arab that told me, come and I'll show you the site of Korach's swallowing, where he got swallowed up. It went and spotted 2 cracks in the ground. Smoke was coming out of them. He took a bowl of wool sharings, put it in water, he soaked it up, and he put it on top of his spear, and he passed it over the cracks in the ground where the smoke was coming out. And it was singed. Right? Amarli, rather than said to me, listen close to what you're about to hear. And I heard from the ground saying, Moshe and his Torah are true. And we are the liars. The Arab said to Rabbi Bachana, every 30 days, Gehenna returns there, as if they were being stirred like a meat in a pot. And they say, Moshe okay? That Moshe Torah is true, and we are the liars. Every 30 days, this seems to happen again and again. Okay, one last piece of Gemara before we get up to the Mishnah, and then we'll stop over there. Torah Midbar. Ein lahem chelik lo ilam abo. The Torah Midbar has no chelik lo ilam abo. Ton Rabbanon. Torah Midbar lahem chelik lo ilam abo. Shnema b'midbar hazeh yitamu v'sham yamutu. Yitamu b'olam hazeh v'sham yamutu b'olam abo. Okay, since it says they will cease to be and they will die. Cease to be in this world. They will die means in olam haba. And we have in Tehillim that we say, some people say, as the mizmorim of before l'chadaydi, Asher nishbati v'api im yavaun el menuchati. I've sworn in my wrath that they shall not come to my resting place. David Rabbi Akiva. These are the words of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva says, the door of the midbar ain't lam chelik olam haba. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, v'ain hein olam haba. This is no, they do come. Shneimar ispuli hasidai koratei v'riti al zavach. Gather unto me my devout ones, who seal my covenant through sacrifice. Who are those who seal the covenant with sacrifice? Those are the Dor Midbar. So what do I do with this pasuk? Nishbati v'api, v'api nishbati v'chozani bi. I swore that I won't bring them in, but then I retracted it and let them come in. Yeshua says no, that's not about Dor Midbar. It's about their generations. I'll gather in the Chasidim, all the tzaddikim from every generation. Korete beriti. Those who seal my covenant, those who give up their lives, the Dora Midbar, they do have Shnema, those whom Hashem will return, and they will come to Tzion with glad song. Who's the ones who are redeemed by Hashem? This is the Dora Midbar. Oma Rabbi Barchana Omer Yochanan. Shafka Rabbi Akiva lechasudotei. Rabbi Akiva abandoned his customary generosity of spirit. Meaning, usually Rabbi Akiva does see the good side and everything against, but for some reason here he didn't. But it says Shenemar. We have a pasuk in Yirmiyah that Hashem tells Yirmiyah that Jerusalem will be saved, but not in their merit. Haloch v'kratos ne Yerushalayim anymore. Zacharti lo chesed ne'oraich ahavat kilotayich. Lech techalai be'midbar be'eretz lo zarua. Yeah, you guys followed me and came to the midbar. And now Yerushalayim is being saved because of those who were in the midbar. Heim atzma le'kol shekain. Cannot be that they themselves were not going to have the world to come. So obviously, says the Gemara, says the Rebbe Chanom, that obviously the Dor Midbar does have Olam Haba. So we have to explain why does Rabbi Akiva not see that? Why he takes such a strong stance against the Dor Hamidbar? Zat Hashem, we will try to find an answer, and the next time that we learn. All right, everybody, Shavua Tov, Kol Tov, Hatzlacha, Uvracha.